Do you want to hear some gossip? I have a crush on a girl at work. She's about my age, she's in a similar place in her career, and every Wednesday she sits just diagonally from where I am, and I have to stop myself from glancing over at her too much. And I've barely said 100 words to this girl, but I have all these feelings, and I can remember that nervousness when I first saw her, and I had to go and introduce myself to her. And now I'm very much not in a place for a relationship, and I'm not looking for that. And I wouldn't date someone at work either, or at least not in my sort of wider team. And that's actually allowed me to create some distance and some detachment. And with my newfound skill of noticing myself and self observing, I've realized something that I've been doing my entire life. I idealize people that I have a crush on, and I create them as this wonderful thing in my mind, and then I feel intimidated even just to interact with them. And recently I realized I don't need to do that. And the first reason is that there's always more. There is no one, there's plenty fish in the sea. And if it wasn't this girl, it was the person on my previous team that I was interested in, or today I came across a new YouTuber and I thought, oh gosh, look, I've developed some parasocial crush on them. And I'm not saying by any means that there's anything wrong with those wonderful, bubbly, butterfly-y, nervous, exciting, exaggerated feelings that you can get when you have a crush on someone or when you first meet someone that you're interested in. I'm just saying that be careful of if you're taking that a little bit too far and idealizing the other person to the point where you create them as something that they're not, and then you put yourself in contrast to that. Because when you idealize someone, you're giving away your power, you're projecting that onto them, and that comes from a place of low self-esteem. And low self-esteem is pretty sneaky. Sometimes it can be very obvious, and other times you can hide it, for example, by hiding it under external achievements. So externally, you appear as a success. You've got the things that you want, and your life looks kind of good. But inside, you feel like a mess, and it just doesn't make sense. And this is something that I've sort of been dealing with, and I've dealt with my whole life. And there's no logic there. Like, the logic of me believing in myself won't make me any less successful or less happy. But I'm worried that if I do, that it'll somehow crumble down. But I've been lucky enough to have a couple of examples where I have dropped that fear and I've realized, that's not the case. During my introductory year of counselor training, we did an exercise where they put us into smaller groups and then had us write down the things that we were projecting onto the other people in our little group. Now, of course, in the wider, larger group, there were people I was attracted to, and one of them got put into my small group for this exercise, and I realized that I would have to tell her to her face that I found her beautiful. And I was pretty nervous about that because I was worried that, like, what if she thinks I'm creepy? What if she doesn't like it? What if it affects, like, our relationship and then affects how I'm going to be able to do the training? And so I was pretty nervous when it came to my turn. And so I looked at her as the first person and I said, "In you, I see my own beauty." And it was a relief. I felt like a weight got lifted off of my shoulders and I was free. I didn't mind anymore. Because this exercise wasn't about the other person, it was about me. And then when I said those words, "In you I see my own beauty," I claimed back my own sense of beauty. And so suddenly I didn't care if she thought that was weird or was put off by that. And of course, she wasn't. I mean, who doesn't want to hear they're beautiful by someone who you have a trusting relationship with in a safe space? But in any case, it didn't really matter to me because she was beautiful, she can be beautiful, but so was I. And I'd kind of forgotten about this until a few days ago when I started this new team and I had this new work crush, and I realized what that exercise really meant. And so I've been kind of practicing. If I catch myself going, "Oh, she's so beautiful," I go, there's me giving away my own beauty. Or, "Oh, she's so smart and so mature." Ah, there's me giving away my own intelligence and my own maturity. And I try to remind myself that I am all those things. Her being beautiful and smart and mature has nothing to do with me, and doesn't mean that I also can't be all of those things. But there's also a second side to how self-esteem plays into this, because you're not just going to project your positive qualities onto the person. I often find that people put on themselves and think that only they have these bad and terrible negative qualities, and that the person you have a crush on could never do any of those things. Only you are a dirty little gremlin that does that, not them, no. Can you see how absurd that is? So again, if I get really caught up on someone, I'll remind myself that they are human too. They fart, they poop, they make stupid and embarrassing mistakes. They're self-conscious, they're worried about themselves, how they look, how they feel. It's super normal. Because I do that, you do that, everybody does that. I want you to think about the weirdest things that you think about. Really just think about them for just a second. Taylor Swift also thinks that. Brad Pitt has also thought about that. Like, the breadth of what you can think about as a human being is pretty much experienced by most people, and it's so normal. And you only think that it's just you because you're bound by this toxic shame that you have that thinks it's awful and bad and evil and you need to reject it and lock it away. But, you know, being a human being is experiencing and thinking about the full range of everything. And so those bad parts are also being human too. And the more work you can do to look at them, face them, and accept them as part of who you are, that will also fill the other side of topping up your self-esteem into a more positive place. So let's bring this back to romantic idealization. Romantic idealization is when you're projecting the positive qualities of yourself that you can't hold within yourself because of low self-esteem. And so you look to someone else to fill that within you. You don't need to do that. You can be the prize. You can be amazing and wonderful, and not in some weird competitive way where you're better than other people. We're all human beings with good parts and bad parts, and we all think the same stupid shit. And that's exactly it. You're equal. We're equal. And that's where the magic comes from. Because imagine if you believed that you were as amazing and awesome as that person that you idealize when you have a crush on them. And you already are. You just don't believe it. And so you might say, Lewis, no, absolutely not. I'm not tall enough. I haven't got enough money. Haven't got a good enough job. I'm not good enough looking. I'm not charismatic enough. All of that is bullshit. Being attractive is mostly just a choice. And you can choose to do that. And the best part is that even if you don't feel like you're in a place where you're sort of worthy of this ideal partner, and I get that, that makes a lot of sense, you can choose to make decisions that bolster your self-esteem or that give you more money. And they will compound over time and create you into that person. And you can even decide to just do that right now. You can just decide you're worthy, but it's really hard. But fundamentally, even if you're not where you want to be, you can get there. And you can get there by noticing the ways that you idealize people that you have a crush on and trying to recognize and cultivate those qualities within yourself, claim them back from projecting them onto other people. And you can also look at some of the bad sides within you and face them. Start giving them love and acceptance because they're part of being human too. And even really sexy people have weird things going on. It's normal, it's human. And the more you can accept yourself as a full, authentic human being with the entire spectrum of all of your existence and all of your weird quirks and everything else, the better you'll feel about yourself and the less time you'll spend idealizing some people as some figment of imagination in your mind. If you made it this far in the video, then thank you so much for watching. It would mean a lot to me if you could like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. I wish you all the best on your healing journey, and I will see you in the next one.